Good afternoon, and my name is Kudus Ashu. I am a solicitor of the Senior Courts of England and Wales. I am also the founder and managing director of Hazelhurst Group Limited. Hazelhurst Group Limited owns solicitors firms in England and Wales. There is an office in Manchester, and there's one in London. Now, what I do essentially is I am responsible for the overall strategy and management of the group, but I also work on a daily basis as a lawyer. I provide advice and representation in the courts and tribunals in England and Wales. What I do is also, and I think what I'm most excited about, honestly, is the work I do at the front line. Advising my clients, resolving problems, knowing how things progress on a daily basis, attending court hearings, and all that excites me because when I do that, I aim at the result, and when we get a successful result, that is what satisfies me the most. Now, we have been running this firm for the past 5 years, and we have today thousands of clients. And I think there are two reasons why we have this many clients. One is because we concentrate on the results. We get a lot of successful results. Most often, we are successful. And because we are successful, these clients of ours, they perform the marketing for us. We don't ask them to do that, but by telling others that they have had success with our help, others come to us. And that is why we've been able to grow organically from when we started 5 years ago without literally no client to many thousands of clients today on our books, and 2 offices, and the 3rd office, I should say, is in the United Arab Emirates. Now, with regards to my frontline work, I will be telling you about one of the most exciting cases I dealt with last week. So, a client came to me because he had a CCJ. In England, when we talk of a CCJ, we all know what that means. What it means is someone has got a county court judgment against them for a debt, for a money which they are supposed to pay. And why this county court judgment, this CCJ, is very important in England is because it is directly linked with one's ability to obtain credit. It could be a mortgage to buy a home, or it could be a loan to buy a car, or a credit card. Now, when you have this CCJ, it sort of destroys your credibility, and your credit rating drops. And some people would not be able to afford to buy a home at all. So when you have a county court claim against you for money, you tend to want to deal with it to avoid the county court judgment. But the case I had last week, this individual, and it is not by any means uncommon, it happens a lot in the UK. So I decided that I'm going to share this with you, and if you know someone who is in this situation, you may share that with them. Now, this client came to me. He had been out of the country, out of England for a long time, for many months. And when he came back, he discovered that when he was trying to arrange a loan, that he had a county judgment against him. Now, you do get a county judgment against you without your knowledge when a claim had been issued. Someone has gone to court and said, Mr. X owes me money. And the court would put the claim form together, would start a claim, start proceedings, and that court would send a claim form to you, the defendant, who is alleged to owe, who allegedly owes money to the claimant. Now, when the court sends this document to the defendant who owes money, the defendant is supposed to respond to the court that yes, I have received this claim form. There is a time limit for that to respond. Or the defendant would say, oh no, I do not admit that I owe money and I'm gonna do everything to defend myself. But in any case, you've got to respond to the court. Now, if you do nothing and the court doesn't hear from you, then the claimant can go ahead and ask the court to enter judgment against you. And when a judgment is entered against you, it is known as judgment in default. Now, in default of you appearing in court, a judgment has been entered against you. You've not had your day in court to defend yourself or to be heard or to admit that yes, you are ready to pay that debt. This CCJ within 28 days or thereabout would be recorded with the credit reference agencies. Now, the credit reference agencies have got a database where every adult citizen who has got a financial arrangement with a financial institution would have their credit rating there. Now, if you have a CCJ, it's recorded. You're not in the country, you've not acknowledged the claim, and you've got a CCJ. So my client came to me last week and said, look, I have this CCJ against me. I was not in the country. I would have defended this claim because I actually do not owe this individual. The person who owes this individual is my brother. I cannot have a CCJ entered against me when I did not enter into a contract with this company, this finance company that is chasing me for money. Right. So, but my client had a CCJ. The CCJ was about 7 months old, so it's a very long time. Now, but the question he asked was, how can I get myself out of this? The answer I gave him was, yes, you can get yourself out of it by applying to set aside the default judgment. So not everyone would be able to apply to set aside the default judgment. But I can assure you that if you meet the requirements, then you will be able to convince a judge in a court that this county court judgment or a high court judgment, it could be a high court depending on the amount of money we are talking about. So there are generally two reasons you could use. In the case of my client had a reasonable prospect of successfully defending his claim because he's got loads of arguments. He was not there when the claim was issued. Not only that, but most importantly, he does not owe the claimant money. He has a lot of evidence that this money or this transaction was between his brother and a finance company. So the fact that a claim was brought against him and a judgment was entered against him is an error which, if they give him the opportunity, if the court gives him the opportunity to come and defend the claim, then he will be successful. So because of these reasons, which are very cogent, I advise my client that, look, we're going to try and apply for this judgment to be set aside. And that is what we're going to be doing. I'll let you know how it goes next week. But when you have a county court judgment, don't conclude that there's nothing you can do about it. Meet a lawyer who practices in this area. Like any other lawyer, you could come to his or her solicitors. What we would do, certainly, is we would assess your case and your particular circumstances. And it could be one of those cases where we could set aside the default judgment and you'll be free again without a county court judgment against you. So this was an interesting one. I thought I should share with you, and I will definitely come back and let you know how it goes. If the judgment is set aside, I'll let you know next week. Thank you very much, and hope to speak to you again very soon. Bye-bye from Manchester.